I'm Rebecca Winn with Devil's Digest, here with publisher Rabino. We're talking about the season starter. So some look at this as a glorified scrimmage almost and a no-win for ASU. How do you feel about it?
Well, I think in some cases, yes. I mean, you would have to go and label the game like that, but it's nice to have a warm-up game. We saw some teams in week 1 of college football that wish they had that warm-up game before the upset that they incurred, at least for some of them. But I think in some ways it is just a nice way to go ahead and just get all the systems going, making sure offense, defense, everything is lining up. I mean, there's only so much you can simulate a game, but once you actually have an actual game that does count in the standings, I think it is a good way to go ahead and start the season. And again, I think a lot of teams last week kind of wish they had a Sacramento State on their schedule.
Looking at how the offense performed in the preseason, what are you expecting from them for this first game?
Well, I think the offense, a lot of it really is really coming as advertised. I mean, the strong running game is still there. The offensive line, a unit that Todd Graham has sung its praises all throughout fall camp, has done very well. So you know they can sustain not only the running game but also the pass protection, which I think was somewhat of an issue last year. So now the big question is the receiving game. We know you have Chris Coyle over there, but what's going to happen with the wide receiver group? I mean, people like Jalen Strong, Ellis Jefferson are going to go and step up. Can Kevin Ogier go ahead and shake off the tough season he had last year? Can Rick Smith, who had a great fall practice, can go ahead and keep on that momentum going? And I think they will. And I've said this many times before. I think the wide receivers as a whole, they just need to be, I think, good, not great. Because you have so many weapons, like we mentioned, DJ Foster, Marion Grice, Chris Coyle. If the wide receivers can be just a threat, something for the defensive coordinators to think about every week when they play Arizona State, I think that's all you need to have a successful offense. So I feel that right now the offense, there's a lot of pieces in place. Todd Graham has talked about the offense doing very well a few days this week in practice. So I'm anxious to see how this offense does. As explosive as it was last year, I think it can be not only explosive but more efficient this year just because of the improved passing game.
Moving to the defensive side of the ball, same question. How do you see the defense coming out and starting the season?
It's kind of interesting because I really thought the defense actually returned a lot of pieces from last year, and I was kind of expecting maybe a little smoother fall camp for them. Now, granted, they have injuries, and especially at the field safety position where true freshman Marcus Bowe is supposed to be the starter. JC transfer Damaris Randall may not play this week, but probably next week, still recovering from an injury. So that's something that remains to be seen how all that figures in, because granted, you have 2 seniors in the secondary, Alden Darby and Osan Irabor, but you are going to have inexperience in the field safety and in the corner position opposite Irabor. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shapes up. Then you look at the spur position. Yes, Anthony Jones is going to start, and probably that's what you thought was going to happen in the beginning of fall camp, but there have been so many experimentation, not only the first team but also the second team, who's actually going to be the starting spur. So I'm really curious to see how that is going to shape up. And is Chris Young going to go ahead and stay at the will position right now, or maybe be forced to move to the spur just because of what happens during the game? So that'll be interesting to see. But one thing I think Todd Graham made a great point of is that the depth. The front 7 is much improved over last year. And when you talk about the ability to stop the run, which was a huge Achilles heel last year, he believes that that's going to be improved this year. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. So like I said, I think maybe the defense I have a little more question marks. Maybe against a team like Sacramento State it doesn't show up that much, but I'm very curious to see what happens in that 4-game gauntlet that's been well publicized, how the defense shapes up.
You touched on it a little bit, but there is a lack of experience at safety, and so should we be concerned about that?
I think for now until it's proven, I think yes, it's going to be a concern. It's not so much field safety is a position that really is more geared for the pass than the run. And again, we talk about the teams like Wisconsin, USC, Stanford, Notre Dame. Those are teams that are not going to test you as much via the air versus teams you're going to see down the road in the schedule, Washington, UCLA. So it's not so much that the field safety is, okay, how's ASU going to do against the pass, but how else are they going to do against the run in that position? So I think this remains to be seen. I think it's anybody's guess how good or how bad the field safety position is going to go ahead and do, and how is that going to affect just the rest of the defense throughout the way. I think there's talent over there. I think it's just a matter of just getting some reps, just really making sure that this is a well-oiled machine, because right now you're just preparing for that game. But once you get actual game film from a game that counts in the standings, they're not really going to be able to answer that question probably.
So what do you think we can expect from ASU for this game?
Well, I mean, I do expect Arizona State to go ahead and have that explosive offense like they exhibited last year. I mean, again, I don't think they lost anything in that department. They actually added more weapons. As far as defense, I think it may be maybe just in the beginning of the game, just a little rough outing, maybe not as smooth as you think it is. But I think Arizona State should really just end this game at halftime, like it did last year when they played NAU's, and go ahead and have that commanding victory. Now the question is, how much do you take from that victory? Going back to your point, a no-win game. So we'll see what happens. But I think there'll be more positive than negatives to draw from Thursday game. And the bottom line is, no matter what the score is, Arizona State is going to have to go ahead and just take those teaching points and implement them really fast, because you got Wisconsin coming here next week, and that's going to be obviously a whole different story.